Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the October 29th Raw Review. Yeah, baby, we got it here. Have they done better after their Hell in a Cell compared to Bound for Glory 2012? I said in my Hell in a Cell review, that was a C+ show. That was not good. C+ does not mean a good show. So let's see what they did afterward. Did they try to work on what they had done in Hell in a Cell? So basically we got Punk and Heyman in the ring. Punk basically saying that he is the best because he managed to win in the Hell in a Cell with Ryback. No one's better than him. He went up against everybody. He gave a whole bunch of line of people. He talked about Randy Orton. He talked about John Cena. He talked about Rey Mysterio. He talked about a lot of people, which was okay. I did not mind it. Then the person that came out next, which was a surprise to me, was Foley. I didn't mind it. I'm glad Foley came back because this is the person who started it all. He's the one that suggested the Hell in a Cell match. And he pretty much said, you failed to become a legend. You're nothing but a statistic. And basically Punk said, you know what? If I gotta be like you and become a legend, I'd rather be a statistic. So he said simply, this is Punk, not in all the same words, but essentially, you know what? Why don't you just get out of my face, old man? You know what? Let's have something interesting, something that can still show something that you would consider great. Let's have a classic Survivor Series match, 5-on-5. I thought that was a good idea. And the people were really into it. I was going like this, going, now let's see if Foley can still go in the ring. I know if Foley isn't that badly out of shape. He could still go in the ring as far as I know. He doesn't really do it much anymore. He's been writing books. But if Foley could go in the ring, that would bring a lot of people in. That's what people like. They love Foley. And you could hear the crowd cheering for him. The North Carolina crowd, if it was North Carolina, they were cheering for Foley. They wanted him to get back in the ring. And he said, I'm going to pick my team, you pick your team, and let's meet later in the night to see who we got. And as they're talking, Ryback comes down to the ring, and at that moment, Punk was all wrapped up in tape from his arms to his stomach. He got himself beat up pretty good inside the Hell in a Cell. So Ryback comes out in another colorful RVD suit and is screaming for Punk. And we got a match right afterward, which is our first match, JTG versus Ryback. Oh, I feel sorry for JTG. You know, he went from Crime Time to this. He used to have a look where he went to the ring in clothes, in boots, did a decent stick. He doesn't do that anymore. He's become a good little wrestler. I don't know why they keep him on the roster. I don't hate JTG. I don't hate him. But he's so underutilized. The only time he ever appears on one of the major shows, either to Superstars or NXT, really is as a jobber. He does not win nothing. He presents nothing. I would rather see him get let go. Maybe he'll do better in TNA or ROH. And ROH will be a giant. The guy is big compared to ROH guys. So I'd rather see him go there because simply he got squashed by Ryback. Ryback ramming his head into the woof. I mean, understand, this is fake. Understand, but these wrestlers can still get hurt when they hit the head on the ring. Remember, the ring is mostly wood with some springs and very, very thin matting. I think some of the matting is about this thin. It's not that thick. Out on the outside and out on the floor, it's maybe about this thick off the floor. I mean, like this thick. Sorry, it's about this thick off the floor. But on the ring, it's about maybe this thin. You can still get hurt, and Ryback rammed his head more than a few times. I think he heard someone say stupid. So I think someone might be getting a little more aggressive than expected if that was Ryback. But JTG lost, and I'll leave it at that. We got the Orton and Wade Barrett match, and no intro for Barrett, and a partial intro for Orton. It's also possible they had some technical difficulties with their video, because there was a lot of phasing in and out with their video with their audio as well. Now I can understand they had no choice but to do that, But seriously, Wade Barrett is supposed to be rebuilt. He's supposed to be trying to go up in the card to try and get to the main event scene. And how does he end up? Jobbing. This is the slide back down for Wade Barrett. I hope I'm wrong. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I'm wrong about Wade Barrett. I hope that he's going to start winning after this and he has a nice progression of the card. He could go for something. I'm not saying to go back to the IC, but that might be the best option for him. Let Kofi be a transitional champion for Wade to get the IC championship, and then he can lose it to someone in the springboard into the world championship. Honestly, if I'm right, and I really hope I'm wrong, Wade went like this when he came back somewhat, and then that's how it looks. That's exactly how it looked. He looked like he was just going up a little bit with those little rocks up and downs because of the matches he was giving. Remember, he got matches that were always where he had to fight. He shouldn't have had to fight anybody. He should have had people that would job to him instantly, so he had more credibility, but he had to keep fighting. He had difficulty with it, so he kept going up and down. And then what happened with Sheamus, leveled off and began to go a little bit down. With basically Randy Orton, gone. He's hit rock bottom, and I hope I'm wrong. Next, we have I'm going to get all this out of the way with AJ and Vicki. AJ's called back. AJ is called back to see if she can get a job back. Vicki's messing around with John Cena, and I'll do the John Cena thing with Vicki later, but essentially AJ is told simply, you know what, if you want to come back, prove it to me. So throughout the night, there were like 3 backstages, especially with Beth. And when AJ was asked again, what about the coochie coochie with the little, or actually, if you want to just be graphic about it, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to be a nasty person, but this is what is basically being presented. This is an opera in a sense, an operatic or a soap opera thing. I really don't like to even think of it as soap opera because we do have soap opera writers in there and they suck. But essentially, in this case, this is supposed to be a soap opera kind of thing, seeing what's going on with AJ and John Cena. And when Vicki said she's going to be allowed to become a diva again, she goes up against Beth Phoenix. Now, we already know that Beth was going to leave. She's being released. And the match, the first match, Beth loses to AJ. Beth basically got tricked into a roll-up. Seriously? I mean, AJ gave a little bit of an interest in the beginning. Some people just for a few seconds, not minutes, seconds gave a little interest when they saw her getting basically roughed up a little bit. But really, they weren't really into this match at all. AJ winning, they really weren't into this match that much at all. When Vicki comes out and restarts the match and the Glam Slam is done to AJ, they really weren't into this match at all. I've said this 3 times for a perfectly great reason, that when it finally came down to the second time when you had John Cena with AJ, John Cena puts his arm around her and says, don't worry about it, things will get straightened out, you're now a diva again, don't worry, it'll be great. And when we saw Beth with Vicki, and Beth was rocking not a hat, that looking white and red, basically trunk uniform, well, wrestling attire, with a nice bit of cleavage. She always had cleavage, but now that it's white, well, at least then it was white, you can see more pronounced features. I mean, I've heard people say that she really looks like a man, and most of her does, but there's still some woman aspects. There's still 2 women aspects that were interesting. Beth was let go by Vicki. As effective immediately, Beth Phoenix, you are fired. This is where the final slide is for the Divas. There's nothing left for the Divas now. Who do you have left? Who's the most strongest Diva they have? Natalya. Seriously, Natalya is the only strongest Diva, and I know they can say, oh, why not Tamina? Tamina had her shot. Tamina lost her shot. It's over for Tamina. The only person they always go to now is going to be Natalya as the antagonist because she's the only person left. Basically, Alicia Fox they keep putting her as a tweener. There is no real bad girl anymore. You only had 2. Now it's over. this is the final nail for the Divas division. I don't even want to think about it anymore. I'm just going to leave it as that. It's sad. Next, we have the Kane and Daniel Bryan and the PTPers. Thank goodness it was short. Thank goodness it was sweet. And that's it. There was hardly anything there. It was still to build Kane and Daniel Bryan as the tag team champions. They need to be presented, and I'm glad they're doing this on SmackDown and Raw. Don't get me wrong. This is what people have been begging for. They wanted something to be done with the tag team division. Tag team division in WWE before this was nothing. Now we're seeing people prominently featured on both shows, and we're seeing more than one match of the tag team. So when it came to Cara and Ray versus the Rhodes Scholars, a lot of people were wondering, maybe I was, will Cara act a little... It seems that he's okay. I thought that he might have been concussed. Maybe he is, slightly. You never know. But they said he was alright enough to get into the ring. So he got in the ring. He did most of the match. Ray and Sin Cara do not win this. Rhodes Scholars do. I believe it was Sin Cara. No. Was it Sin Cara who... I really didn't write down who was the one who jobbed to Damien. I think it was Sin Cara, because I doubt Ray is going to job to Damien. No. Ray will job to Cody. He will not job to Damien. So, basically now they're going to go against Hell No again, which they should. Make sense for a storyline. I'll leave it at that. You know what, I'm going to get this out of the way. When it came to the Sienna and Vicki segment, I'm just going to get rid of it. When they showed the video packages and the pictures, you know what? There's only one thing that went through my mind. Sorry, my paper came loose. There's only one thing that goes through my mind, ladies and gentlemen. Will they go all the way with this? Just like if there's a guy and a girl, and you take this girl on a date. I've never really done this, but I've heard guys do it. You see a hot-looking girl, but she's really sweet and nice. You wine her, you dine her, you take her somewhere very nice, usually to your place, or to a hotel if you can afford it. You get her all set up, and she knows what's going on, but at the last moment, when it seems like there's about to be something that's about to happen, she says, no, I'm not ready for this. Dude, what the shit is this? Or, as they say, what the fuck is this? But I'm saying what the shit, because simply put, we don't know what's going to happen. This is the moment in between where the girl says no and the guy's about to put it in, either with a condom or without. Because the girl will usually say, I don't think we should be doing this yet, I want to wait. This is where we're at right now. Is this where I'm going to wait? I want us to wait to get to know one another, or are we going to have full penetration? This is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. The guy is about this close to the hole. Now, I'm not trying to be so nasty, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not. But this is really what this entire thing is about. This thing keeps on sticking. This is what this entire situation is about when it comes to John Cena and this type of storyline. Like I said with Eve and when it came to Zack Ryder and John Cena. We had that same situation. After Eve did the kiss, we thought maybe there might be something between Zack Ryder and John Cena, that there would be some confrontation. We were at the moment of the hole, and the girl said, no, I want to wait, let's get to know each other. This is where we're at. We're at the very moment where it's about to be inserted, and we don't know if the girl's going to say, let's wait, or just put it in, I want rammed hard. We don't know. Really, we don't. Will the WWE go all the way with this storyline? Let John Cena and AJ have an actual relationship on this storyline. We don't know. Will John, and understand, in real life, John Cena's wife and him, he filed the paperwork or she filed the paperwork to have a divorce, and at the moment they're reconsidering it, or John Cena's reconsidering. So it's a possibility they're actually still together. The question here is this: not worrying so much about his marriage, because it's a good possibility it's over or it's still being worked on. The thing is that in his show that he's working in, which is Raw, with his storyline, this will be the second time where they tried to make some situation that is a relationship for John Cena. And just like the last time, we're at the last moment where we're going to know if John Cena is going to go all the way through with this, or they're just going to let it just sit for a few days, forget about it, and then move on. That's what happened with Eve. That's what happened. Because they never went farther with it. They could have left it where Zack Ryder could have simply kept fighting with John Cena, even if he was a good guy still. It makes no difference. There would have been a confrontation. Here, we don't know. One of my cats, sorry. We don't know what's about to happen. We know Dolph Ziggler is involved right now, but we do not know how far this is going to go with AJ and John Cena. If nothing happens of this, why did they bring this up again with John Cena? Why? It's ridiculous if we're going to get a tease with this, where the guy's about to put it in and the girl says, no, let's wait, I want to know you better. People don't want to deal with that anymore. They'd rather see you do it or not do it at all. So here goes the question with that, and I'm going to move on from there. Now we have okay, this is what I believe should have been done in Hell in a Cell. Champion versus champion. Kofi versus Antonio Cesaro. Kofi Kingston versus Antonio Cesaro would have been better than either one of their matches. Honestly, I'm telling you right now the truth. Antonio or Justin, since Justin Gabriel didn't win the title, what was the point of even having a match? There was no point. Justin lost before, he won, and then they had this match where he lost again. There was no build, there was no storyline, nothing. Boring. When it came to Kofi Kingston and The Miz, there was barely a storyline, there was almost no build. Miz loses his title on an open television show that you can see on antenna, digital antenna, instead of a pay-per-view. So them doing it in Hell in a Cell where Kofi retained, no interest, boring, I was sick of it. What could have happened, should have happened on Hell in a Cell with this. If Kofi had to win that title on Ion Television, they did not need a rematch, not at Hell in a Cell. The situation that was on Raw would have been better, honestly. Then it would have been easier to deal with when it came to R-Truth. Because during the match, you have Kofi fighting outside with Antonio. Kofi throws Antonio to Miz. Miz gets angry, fights with Kofi. The match is over. We don't see a clear winner. Kofi's getting his ass whipped by both Antonio and Miz. And then R-Truth comes out and helps Kofi. Now we have a feeling that maybe R-Truth is going after the U.S. title, which would make some sense. I don't think R-Truth is going after any of the major titles. He hasn't. If he has, I'm sorry. I just don't remember him getting any of the U.S. title or an IC title in. He might have. If he had, okay. If he hasn't, this would actually make some sense. Have one of the tag team champion groups that you had. You had Kofi and you had R-Truth, who were not bad as tag team champions. Let them be the IC and U.S. champion. Two faces, you got a lot of heels that you could be throwing at them. At least then it'll be more interesting. So this could have been done at Hell in a Cell instead of this crap that we had at Hell in a Cell. So I'm leaving it at that. The next one will be 3MB, baby. 3MB. I do not... Look, we don't have any groups anymore or characters that are interesting. The one that we had that was the most interesting group character was the Funkasaurus with the Funkadactyls with my Naomi and a gorgeous woman named Cameron. They're gone. They're on Superstars, I believe, now. They're not doing anything. It'll be rare for the Funkasaurus with the Funkadactyls to be shown on Monday Night Raw now. I do not believe they're going to do it. It's going to be very rare they're going to show it on Raw. Maybe they'll show it on SmackDown. But it's going to be very rare he's going to be on Raw. He probably won't appear on Raw. Especially after the looks those two girls gave the last time he was in the ring with 3MB. With Heath Slater as their leader. The girls looked totally disgusted. They were angry because they know they're stuck in a jobbing position. So essentially, we're not going to see them. But the other group that we now have is 3MB. And the interview they had, I know people are going to say this is a stupid interview. Actually, it wasn't bad. Particularly when it came to Ginger Mahal saying, you know what, I'm the class clown of the group. The classic look on the face that I'm just going to play the straight man. Nothing wrong with it. All three of them did a decent job of getting over in the interview. They still need some work, ladies and gentlemen. I've said this before. This thing keeps coming off. I've said this before when it came to Heath Slater. Heath Slater is like a B movie. One of those old cult classic movies that was so terrible it became good. He doesn't have great in-ring ability. He doesn't have great charisma. He doesn't have great mic skills. He does not have a great physique. But all together, with ring presence even bad, he has something that's appealing. There's something there. So all the others are pretty much in the same boat. Of course, the one who's the most best out of them all is Drew McIntyre. But he's been so badly featured for so long, he pretty much is in the same boat as them. He is. So this group looks so terrible, they're actually good enough to get over. And when they went up against Cobra, woo, woo, woo! I'm sorry. Look, Santino and Zack Ryder, they're funny characters. They roughly work well together. When it came to this, it makes sense. So, the match is basic, it isn't very short. You have Drew causing the distraction, he forgets the win, they get the heat, not many boos, not much heat, but at least it's some type of heat. This is what a lot of casual fans won't get. If you're getting some heat, eventually you can get more heat if you work on your character and on your group. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's not so bad with 3MB. Now we have the let me see, I already gone for the ray&sin Cara, I believe. And oh no, I didn't do the ray&sin Cara. ray&sin Cara versus the Rhodes Scholars. As I said before, the Rhodes Scholars give off a classic 80s type of tag team. They do a lot of heel stuff that's like similar. Not 100%, but they are giving off a good type of nostalgic kind of feel of the 80s tag team. It wasn't bad. And people basically wanted to know if Sin Cara was going to botch again. He didn't. Which is alright. They lost. I think I did say this earlier. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not marking stuff off. Next time we'll have to do that. I think I did say this already. I'm sorry. But I don't think I said that anyway about the classic feel. They are giving off a classic feel, which is alright. The last match of the night. Oh, and I didn't say how the match was much for Antonio and Kofi because there wasn't that much there. But ADR versus Justin Gabriel didn't need to be done. Didn't. ADR won. He got a little bit of heat. Honestly, there was not much there. As I said in the Hell in a Cell review, ADR has not been well booked. ADR does not feel like a legitimate heel. I mean, major heel. He doesn't. So this didn't really help. It didn't. So when it came to Punk coming in the ring and giving his announcement with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman was the one who announced Team Punk, you basically have everyone who jobbed in Hell in a Cell. ADR, Rhodes Scholars, even though they won, they lost. You have The Miz, and basically Punk himself, who essentially lost but won at the same time. That is what you got for Team Punk. Team Foley, you got everybody who won except for one. You got Kofi who won. You got Team Hell No who won. You got Randy Orton who won. Everybody there except for one. And Foley said it best. Because, no, it wasn't Foley who said it best. It was Punk who said it best. he said that Foley's the weak link. We're going to take care of everybody, and then we're going to focus on you. And he said, yeah, you're right. I am the weak link. That's why I'm not going to be in the match. And this man will be. And that was, as you guessed it, Ryback. Ryback came in, went to the center of the ring right after they started fighting one another. Huh? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, one of my cats fell. She tripped on something. Well, anyway, Ryback was in the center of the ring after the fighting was over. Team Punk got beaten and won. Ryback gets his cheers, gets his chant in. Everybody was into it. The guys in the ring basically egged him on with his beat me more. And then he squashes Cody. Really? They didn't need to squash anybody. They didn't. They didn't have to squash anybody. And he basically squashes Cody. No, not Cody. I'm sorry. That's the reason I botched this, because I thought this was not necessary. Cody didn't need the job here. If he's going to be with Damien to try and get the belt, why are you letting him job? This is how you make your tag teams weak, because you let one of your competitors in a tag team basically job. How do I feel about this show? This wasn't that great. And the final thing that I'm going to say is very important. But I say this is a C show. Now, the reason I brought this up last is because this is kind of personal to me, ladies and gentlemen. SUSAN G Komen. Sorry, I missaid it. SUSAN G KOMEN. Got it this time. They have been working with them, WWE, for several months now. Now, this could be because of the elections. I'm hoping it isn't. I'm hoping they'll maintain this after the elections are over. But if they don't, it's okay, because they did do something for them. They had some nice video packages with everyone who talks about how cancer affects everyone, particularly Layla, whose mother died, and she had a beautiful mother. Her mother was very pretty. But essentially, they've been focusing on this. So when it finally came to a head with this, not in a bad way ahead, they have the WWE Universe involved, along with everybody in the back, and Vincent Kennedy McMahon was there. They carted him out for this, which was understandable. John Cena did most of the talking. The vice president of SUSAN G Komen and Komen's nephew was there, and John said a nice speech, and he reveals a check, one of those big cardboard checks, for $1 million. They were shocked, which is understandable. It was good. The vice president spoke, nice black lady. I forgot her name. But it was a good thing. The two things I felt really were good and bad about this. Good that the WWE, even if this is for politics' sake, is doing something more. Particularly that they're using the sales from Rise Above Cancer in all their gear to try and help breast cancer, which is alright. I myself, my mother died when I was 23 years old from complications to lung cancer. I know that this is not breast cancer, but the thing is that she also had lumps in her breast, so she did have also breast cancer, but it had stretched to her lungs. They wanted to take care of it first, and unfortunately my mother died in a coma. I was there when she died, and I remember the last few words she said to me before she slipped into a coma and then died 2 o'clock in the morning, when the coma was maybe about 3 in the afternoon. She basically told me, take care of yourself, don't be afraid, and I love you. Essentially, for me, that means a lot. And I understand what they're doing with this, that, look, there are not a lot of people who understand how someone loses their life to breast cancer or is a relative to it, but it takes a lot away from your life, from your relatives to you. So I'm very glad they did this. The sad thing for me was the crowd really didn't cheer that loud. Most of the cheering came from the breast cancer survivors in the crowd compared to the rest of the audience. That really made me feel very bad that people really didn't care that much. But that's what it is, You can't make people do what you hope you would do yourself. So I hope you love this, and well, why not? I hope you love this Zane's View. Give me a subscribe, give me a love of a comment, and you have a good day.